The bitter struggle over Ukrainian territory has been inflamed by Russia's desire to include North Korean troops in Russia's military. For almost 2 weeks now, many political leaders have been expressing their discomfort with the closeness between Russia and North Korea. Everyone is worried that North Korea's involvement in this war will change the color of the game. The possibility that North Korea will expect the same support from Russia in the future worries everyone. The main problem with North Korea's armed support to Russia would be that Asia would get involved in the war on Ukrainian soil, and more blood would be spilled. The Russian army, which is suffering more and more casualties every day, could recover with North Korean support. That is why many political leaders are against this exchange. South Korea in particular has indicated that it would take very serious action if its arch rival were to take such a step. Seeing North Korea's support for Russia, South Korea made a move against its sworn enemy. South Korea's president said he would respond to North Korea sending troops to Russia, including weapons to attack Ukraine. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol emphasized the following: Seoul will not sit idly by in the face of a North Korean provocation that threatens global security on the Korean peninsula and beyond Europe. South Korea's intelligence chief told lawmakers that North Korea has sent 3,000 of its troops, including special forces, to Russia for training, and the North plans to increase that number to 10,000 by December. A senior South Korean presidential official said possible steps include diplomatic, economic, and military options, and that South Korea could consider sending both defensive and offensive weapons to Ukraine. South Korea has so far helped Ukraine by providing weapons to the United States and Ukraine's neighbors, but that could change. We have a principle of not providing lethal weapons directly to belligerents, but we can be more flexible and review the policy depending on North Korea's military activities. In response, South Korea emphasized that it could send military observers to Ukraine. The Yonhap news agency reported on October 22nd, citing an unnamed government source, that South Korea was considering sending a team to Ukraine to monitor North Korean troops that Russia could involve in a full-scale war. South Korea's support for Ukraine would also be very strong. Seoul has a number of defense weapon systems that it could provide to Ukraine. These include the Cheonggung-2 medium-range surface-to-air missile system, which could help Ukraine strengthen its air defenses. Already deployed in South Korea, it is optimized to destroy low-level ballistic missile threats and is also known as M-SAM, medium-range surface-to-air missile. Furthermore, a major arms manufacturer has suggested that South Korea could also provide offensive weapons such as artillery shells, howitzers, tanks, and multi-barrel rocket launcher systems. Since the outbreak of the war, South Korea has provided 155mm shells to the U.S., with the condition that the U.S. would be the end user. Observers noted that this may have allowed Seoul to provide indirect arms support to Ukraine, as the United States has been sending its own stockpile of ammunition to Ukraine. Ukraine could make a huge difference on the front line with powerful weapons from South Korea. Other possible weapon systems to be considered include South Korea's indigenous K-9 self-propelled howitzers, K-2 main battle tanks, and Chunmoo multiple rocket launchers. Although not reported in local media, South Korea is also reported to have advanced systems such as domestically produced ballistic missiles and fighter jets that would be of great interest to Kiev. For Ukraine, pointing to North Korean intervention reinforces the Ukrainian government's demands for military assistance from the West. South Korea's statement that we will now side with the U.S. and sell offensive weapons to Ukraine is helping Ukraine. But what is South Korea's interest in supporting Ukraine? If Russia wins the war with North Korea's support, North Korea will have a big trump card. This leverage will cause Russia to invest heavily in North Korea. With the weapons and technology it receives from Russia, North Korea will be able to wage war against South Korea, which it considers an enemy. A senior official in the South Korean presidency said that North Korea may try to acquire high-tech Russian technology to perfect its nuclear missiles. Russia's possible assistance to North Korea's efforts to modernize its outdated conventional weapon systems and acquire a space-based surveillance system could pose a serious security threat. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, South Korea has joined U.S.-led sanctions against Moscow and sent humanitarian and financial support to Kiev. However, it has refrained from directly supplying arms to Ukraine in line with its policy of not supplying arms to countries actively engaged in conflicts. However, one cannot rule out the possibility that Russia, short of pilots during a full-scale war, may have sought help from the North. Training North Koreans to operate Russian jets, most likely the familiar Su-25 Frogfoot attack jets, would pose a number of challenges, such as language barriers and doctrine, but not impossible. South Korea is trying everything it can at the moment, as it does not want to be left holding the bag as a result of all this. Asian countries helping Russia opens a new window in the war. And this, as we have all seen, is very disturbing for the countries that fear the expansion of the war. China and North Korea, which directly or indirectly help Russia's unjust invasion, are becoming more and more the target of hatred. The deployment of North Korean troops could raise concerns that the war risks affecting tensions in Asia, from the Korean Peninsula to the Taiwan Strait. As tensions rise on both sides, North Korea's invasion of Ukraine also represents the third front of Putin's worldwide war in Asia. North Korea's incursion into Ukraine worsens the situation in Asia by raising the possibility of a new Korean war. Now, North Korea is in the mix and South Korea is its sworn enemy. Both are escalating. The North's dwarf kingdom is ruled by a dictator with a small nuclear arsenal and 26.5 million enslaved people. Both are separated by a demilitarized zone, but each is firing bullets full of garbage or propaganda against the other this year. North Korea has declared South Korea a mortal enemy. North Korea supplies critical munitions and weapons to Russia and South Korea to Ukraine. South Korean officials worry that Russia could reward North Korea by giving it advanced weapons technology that could strengthen the North's nuclear and missile programs targeting South Korea. One of the main reasons why South Korea is helping Ukraine so much is its hatred of North Korea. South Korea is a very powerful character in this whole scenario. South Korea has an economy the size of Canada, the 8th largest military in the world with 550,000 active personnel, and one of the largest military-industrial complexes in the world. In contrast, the North is impoverished and ruled by a maniac, while the South, known as the Han River Miracle, has gone from post-war poverty to one of the most vibrant and wealthy countries in the world. South Korea invests in its people and has the highest proportion of people with higher education degrees in the world. This, along with inflows of foreign investment that have come thanks to a deep-rooted national work ethic, has helped South Korea build world-class technology, engineering, electronics, automotive, manufacturing, finance, and entertainment sectors. Since the 2022 invasion, Seoul has exported military goods to the US and Poland for re-export to Ukraine. With the North joining Russia, it will now provide even more aid. Every time North Korea takes a step in support of Russian aggression, South Korea takes a step in support of Ukraine. As we can see, what was once a European conflict has now become an Asian conflict. In exchange for weapons and troops, Pyongyang will secure much-needed cash and possibly Russian know-how on intercontinental ballistic missiles and submarines. These upgrades will significantly intensify the threat the North already poses to its neighbors. Thank you for tuning in.